Well, I'm in southern Minnesota. Actually, I've been in southern Minnesota the last 3 days, and we are laying down some major edge feathering, as you can see directly behind me. Actually, when it's all said and done, we'll have created 875 yards of edge feathering on this property. The main purpose for this edge feathering is bedding as well as browse. So in this video, I'm going to talk about our deer bedding strategy with this edge feathering. So before I get into the bedding strategy, I just wanted to show you how beautiful this edge is. So the landowner had probably 5 yards of switch running up to this edge, maybe 10 yards of switch. So what we did is we tipped out all these trees into the switchgrass, and you can see some of them are wilting and dying. Those are ones that were flush cut. Some of them were hinged. This one is still beautiful and alive. These were cut a couple days ago. That one in the middle there was flush cut, and you can see it's dying or dead. But anyway, we tipped them out into the switchgrass because this makes just a beautiful wildlife edge. What ends up happening is this woody structure in the switchgrass creates nice pockets for fawning cover. We get good pockets for brood rearing cover. There's a lot of pheasants up here, so little pheasant poults will be able to run along right underneath all this switchgrass, and this woody structure actually props it up so it doesn't get too thick underneath. It creates all these great little runs. And the other thing is that being able to tip the woody stems out in here creates a phenomenal edge for browse. So now the deer will be able to run this entire edge, especially in the winter, and be able to have access to all this woody browse that they weren't able to access before. So we wanted to create an edge for browse. We wanted to create just better wildlife habitat in general. And I can promise you underneath all this stuff, there are great pockets to support those most vulnerable wildlife populations. But overall, it just created great habitat. But the number one goal with this, like I said, was bedding. So let's jump behind this beautiful screen. I think this edge is 275 yards from corner to corner. But we'll jump behind this screen and see what it looks like. All right, so there's a lot of what we did. We created these beds right up on the edge. I'm gonna lay right in the bed. You can see we got an escape kicking out that direction. There's one that goes around right there. There's another that drops down to the main trail. Now the reason why we stacked so many beds on this edge is because this is big hill country, and what happens is we go 10 yards that way and it drops straight down. Now deer like to bed where it's flat, and this top part of this big old ridge is the flattest part. So even when we were starting to get in here and do some cleanup, we noticed a handful of beds right up on the edge. So we came through and we did our edge feathering, but we made sure that it was open all the way through that edge, and we have the main run right here. We created this trail. Now over the years, this ridge had gotten trashed from tons of windfall, and then they actually did a little bit of logging on the top part of this ridge. So we came through and we opened this back up for the deer. A big reason for that is because we got to stand on an inside corner over there, or the landowner does, and he's got one over there. So we're pulling all the movement right by that stand and creating deer beds all the way along this edge. So during the rut, the buck's going to want to run this area because there's a great chance we're going to have does bedding right up next to this edge. All right, here's another one of those beds. Like I said, I got tons of these stacked along here. I mean, just look at that view. So they can scent check with the wind over their back. But the big thing in hill country, they like to be able to look out over that valley. Might look a little thick right now, but when the leaves are off, this is where they're going to want to sit. Now, it does make a little bit of a flat bench in there. And normally what I would do if I was trying to create bedding behind the edge feathering is I would have my initial edge feathering, but I would also chip trees that way and try to stack some beds back in the timber. But this property is rank with buckthorn. They're in the middle of a major buckthorn removal project. So the only area that was clean of buckthorn was the edges, because they'd already killed it out of these edges. So this is where we could cut. I cannot cut in there with buckthorn, because if you cut in an area with buckthorn and you have not treated it, you will get an explosion of buckthorn. You can see right next to our trail, there's the buckthorn, and it just gets thick in there. So eventually, once this buckthorn is killed, there'll be beds all the way along this bottom kind of plateau here before it really drops off. But for now, all the bedding is going to be right up on that edge. So here's I am right up on the edge right here, and you can see I kept it open up here, but the main run is literally 4 yards that way. My beds are stacked all the way along this edge where it's flat. This is where the deer want to be. This is where there's the most diversity, because the buckthorn hasn't taken over. Looks like a stick fell in my bed right there. I just didn't see it, didn't clean it up, but these are the spots we're looking for. Right here. Nice, beautiful bed. Sit down in it, and again, great view. Nice escape out that way. I mean, we wanted as many beds up on this edge as possible. There was a really nice bed right there. As you can see, if I walk further, boom, you can kick right out to the edge, and eventually there'll be switchgrass growing right there in a month or two, completely screening off this edge. So this will be a dynamite spot with the beautiful spots they can kick out. Now, types of trees, we had ash, we had box elder, some basswood, some elm. Those are kind of the main 4 that I tend to target for hinge cuts in Minnesota. The box elder and the elm hinge the best by far. Ash and basswood are a little bit more middle of the road. But if I could hinge them, I hinged them. Some of them I flush cut, because we want that switchgrass to grow through those treetops. So kind of did a mix of both. But the hinges, really, the reason we did the hinges, because when we cut them a little higher, we can make these beautiful, oh, look at that, beautiful canopied beds. And that's a beautiful hinge on that ash. I got the spot right there with a nice escape kicking out that way. And again, eventually switchgrass will be growing up. And if you look along the edge, there was not, again, not a ton of buckthorn, but I literally get a few feet in the woods and boom, it is rank and nasty. The other big thing when we're setting up edge bedding like this is we only do it if there's going to be no human activity out there. And on both inside corners, he's accessing from the opposite direction, so he can bump up that way through a pasture. And the inside corner over there actually gets fairly close to the road, but it goes straight up a face. And he can get in his stand, kind of hunting the inside pinch. And again, all these trails are funneling right into both spots. He's got water holes right at those access points, which are great. Yeah, it's just it's a really nice overall setup. The biggest thing is we had to get this back edge opened up, because I said they were using it a little bit, but there was no defined movement, no clear trails. It was just too trashed. So we came in and did what we do with getting these access trails open, me and the landowner, and now we're ready to roll again. It'll be fun to see how the deer respond. Now, coming up on the inside corner here, I did not try to set up beds right by the stand location, just kind of trashed the edge. Didn't make any obvious bedding locations, kept that more in the middle. You can see this will literally kick out right to a perfect ambush spot. We left the inside corners open. You can see I got a trail running up to get out right there. And there will be a water hole. We'll get sunk in here. Stand's going to be over there. Now we're turning and we're pointed. This is kind of the inside turn. So we're going this way, and now we're pointed that direction. So got the same trail kind of running back through there. This is an awesome stand location because he can bump up right through that pasture. Great spot to try pick off a buck. So hill country bedding, got to find those flat spots and make them work for you, even if it's right on the edge of the woods. So that's what we did today. We found where the deer naturally wanted to be. It made sense they wanted to be in those nice flat spots off on the edge, and plus there was the most diversity on the edge, so they don't like the monoculture of buckthorn garbage that's growing in the woods. So we just worked with them, gave them what they want. But fun project today. We're not done yet. This is just my 10-minute breather here. And me and the landowner are gonna go move to another part of the property. So anyway, you all take care. God bless.